mentor in organic and creative ways the people from our greater community that they serve. I let out a whoa, just like our bunny trail followers from earlier in my tour. These people, everyone here it seems, are always bustling around looking for ways to really augment people's lives. I look around the cafe for a moment to see more than one adult and child duo working on homework together, quietly reading aloud, or simply drawing pictures with one another. A startling and wondrous bigger picture is surfacing here. I think to myself, the Rabbit Room is also a community. Dave goes on to explain that the Rabbit Room has partnered, so to speak, with a vast network of friends whom are educators, child care workers, and counselors alike who love to simply spread light, as they call it. So on any given day of the week, one will at least find a handful of these loyal and long-suffering volunteers sprinkled about the place ready to help. Each of them receive a Rabbit Room Volunteers orientation provided by friend, author, and local parenting workshop instructor Marty L. Dutcher. Marty, at 63, has reared two radiant daughters into adulthood, has dedicated his life consistently to serving young people in the communities he's lived in, and has just finished writing a book that shares an enlightening approach to parenting. Dave explains more. It's Marty that makes sure the Rabbit Room is and remains a safe place for kids by certifying that our volunteers check out, of clean histories, and that are interested in really taking these kids completely seriously. Now, may we show you more, Derry? Jason asks, getting to his feet while pointing toward the back of his castle. I respond by getting to my feet. Jason, Dave, and Jenny lead me out behind the whimsical cafe to walk further into their wonderful rabbit hole. I'm led through an ornate open-doored facade of a huge wardrobe with no back wall, inspired I'm sure by C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. As I come through to the other side, I notice that the clicking of my shoes upon the wood of the cafe floor is at once muted by a soft carpeted area that I'm now standing in. All around us are little pockets of musicians and artists. Some are playing acoustic guitar and singing for guests that are seated Indian style, gripping mugs of tea and coffee. Others are painting pictures or sketching. The floor in this section is like a dark concrete, but is covered almost completely by an enormous oriental rug. Near me on my right is a long oak table with a bookish-looking gentleman seated with an old phonograph. He removes a brightly colored record album from a small cache of records inside an antique wooden bread cupboard. After placing the record on the phonograph spindle, he pops a set of big gray headphones on his ears and sinks deep into his comfy chair. A woman standing at an easel a few feet away begins to paint his picture. "Are you listening to Miles again, Henry?" she asks. He doesn't hear her. She doesn't mind. I can't stop smiling. Man, my face hurts. I'm completely caught up in this place's energy. I think to myself, the Rabbit Room is alive. I remember that I'm supposed to be following Jason, Jenny, and Dave. I look up to find them smiling and motioning me to follow them. We find ourselves at the backmost portion of my new favorite place. The tall back wall of the Rabbit Room, more than a simple room I think, looks like the front of an old English inn. It is a stone veneer and small windows. Above a small doorway in the center of this is a carved wood sign. It is an oval of light blue bordered by black, and within it the image of a great gold eagle carrying a baby. Beneath it, following the curvature of the oval, are the words "The Bird and Baby." The Bird and the Baby is the common nickname for the original pub Eagle and Child in which the Inklings met, Jason explains. I wanted to create a quiet and timeless feeling place where adults could come and enjoy a glass of wine or ale while enjoying friendly conversation or deep dialogue. Our pub here is just the kind of place where a lot of local professors from universities like nearby Franklin and Marshall or Lancaster Theological Seminary and others love to come and chat with colleagues. We even have our own local writers club at the Rabbit Room that often meet in here. We go inside to have a look. Just inside the door, in a little alcove on my left, is a framed blurb about the original Eagle and Child, complete with photos of the original location. I look around to realize that my surroundings are almost completely the same as the photo representation. The four of us sit down on low stools at a wooden table. Jason begins to explain. Though some have balked, I wanted to remind people that a true pub, which was originally derived from the term public house, need not be a raucous gathering of miscreants. In our community here, it's perfectly acceptable for a group of adult friends to enjoy a quiet drink together, and that's key, Jason continued. There is no spring break party atmosphere here, and the only music you'll hear in our pub is the soft background of classical or Celtic music like you hear right now. We'll also not invite trouble by posting absurdly irresponsible drink specials like a bar might. This place really does make me feel as though I'm back in an older, simpler time, and like I'm in a whole other town entirely. In addition to the tables, I observe a long, dark, brown wooden bar, whose smooth surface still shows at points the knots and lines of the wood beneath. Around it are about 10 handsome stools whose wood legs match the bar, though they're topped by blue velvet. The older gentleman tending this place is at the moment reading. He has a smartly trimmed white beard and looks kind. He winks at us as Dave leans in to hug the man briefly. "Well, good evening, Jack," says Dave warmly. "We're showing Derry here around." "He's the gentleman I mentioned earlier that's writing about us." "Great to meet you, sir," I say as we shake hands. His hand is cool from the bottles he's just been moving about. Jack speaks up. "Until our buddies," I suppose he means customers, "get here, I'm going to catch up a little bit." He taps his book. "Do it up, my man," Jason says. "Let me know how you liked it." I notice that we're all still smiling. A young couple wearing fall jackets carrying some books breeze past us and up to Jack. As they do, I notice some beautifully rendered black and white pencil drawings of Inklings members, including C.S. Lewis, his brother Warren, J.R.R. Tolkien, and Owen Barfield, to name a few. Dave, noticing my gaze, speaks out. "I hope you like them. They're my work." I do, and my face I fear will break. I can't think of anything really to be unhappy about here. Though I'm sure it's already plain to you how my review went, in fact I haven't enough thumbs to put up as far as the rabbit room is concerned, I will take you along to the end of my tour. We all high-five Jack as we head to a large door at the back of the pub. It's made of old gray wood and has a few old window panes that look as old as the building. The door is two halves divided vertically down the middle and is propped open on one side by an antique milk can painted the color of goldenrod with a long umbrella in it, and on the other side by an old decorative suit of armor about as tall as Dave. We all four head through it. "Well?" questions Jenny. Her arms are outstretched as she scans this scene, deciding what to point out first. We're standing in a tiny grassy area with a whimsical-looking stone path that leads up to a small fountain pouring from between the paws of a great stone lion. The lion looks both intent yet content at the same time. Like this place itself, I think. There are tables and chairs of cast metal, whose shapes suggest vines and growth. A man probably in his 70s wearing a corduroy coat and smoking a pipe below reading glasses and eyes of brilliant blue is already sitting out here. I can't help but thinking that he's quite like the human version of the Rabbit Room's bunny mascot. His pipe smells pleasant. To the far side of the lion sits a couple probably in their late 50s who are enjoying glasses of apple cider and opening their bookstore purchases. They have a sharp-looking reusable bag with the Rabbit Room logo printed on it, from which they are taking out books and other goodies. Dave excitedly introduces me to the pair. They are the aforementioned Marty Dutcher, who has been given headship over the Rabbit Room Children's Volunteer staff, and his lovely wife Carolyn. They are both gracious but also engaging. After asking me about my impressions of the place, Marty and Carolyn begin to describe how the second floor of the Rabbit Room is also being renovated to serve as meeting spaces for beneficial classes that will be introduced here, including Marty's parenting groups, larger cooperative art projects, or possibly some rentable music spaces. It's getting darker now. There are a pair of black metal gaslight torches protruding from either side of the door we just came through. The flames inside each of them flicker and dance. I think of all the light symbolically being shed by this entire place as I follow their movement with my eyes. Jenny, known as Jenny Java to some, explains how this little garden is, like the cafe, her baby. She, having wanted a little sitting garden like this of her own for years, has really taken pride in putting it together so smartly. Sensing our reaching the end of our tour, Dave pushes himself up from his garden chair to explain that he really needs to get his dad home so he can hit the hay. It turns out his father is actually our sleepy friend Jim from earlier. "What a family this place is," I say aloud, as I finally press stop on the tiny recording device that I'd been using this whole time. Dave shakes my hand goodnight as he slips back inside the Rabbit Room. Jenny, Jason, and I all stand to our feet as we exchange our final farewells that feel for me more like a christening of my new relationship with this wonderful place, not a final farewell at all. I spontaneously give Jason and Jenny big bear hugs as my Clarks begin to pad back across old gravel and ancient brick toward my sleeping car. Somewhere behind me a rabbit is winking. By reviewer Derry Bloom.